Newcastle United have surprised once again, despite the entire focus of the fan base being on Hugo Ekitike. Newcastle has identified even scarier alternatives, so from a massive David Ornstein exclusive to an exciting development coming out of Germany, to revealing Eddie Howe's massive first interview amid a defining summer transfer window. As per, join us as we'll break it all down and discuss the latest Newcastle United transfer news.
Let's go!
So Newcastle United have reportedly stepped away from their pursuit of Hugo Ekitike, leaving Liverpool in a strong position to secure the French striker's signature. This marks the third time Newcastle have attempted to sign Ekitike, having previously failed to land him in 2022. With this latest development, it appears the chapter may finally be closed for good.
Looks like it's time to give up.
Transfer specialist Fabrizio Romano confirmed the situation, stating, Hugo Ekitike has been clear with Eintracht. He wants Liverpool move, as contract terms have already been discussed. Negotiations continue after first bid turned down. Clubs remain in talks as Liverpool will insist. Newcastle out since yesterday. Romano later followed up with more details. Exclusive. Liverpool have submitted official bid to Eintracht for Hugo Ekitike. Eintracht already informed Liverpool that they want more. Proposal rejected, but it was initial contact as talks continue. Ekitike said yes to Liverpool. No issues on personal terms. He wants Liverpool. Sky Sports' Keith Downie also reported on the story, noting that an agreement in principle has been reached between Ekitike and Liverpool, subject to the two clubs finalizing a transfer fee. Importantly, Downie added that if Liverpool secure, they are likely to end any interest in Newcastle's star striker Alexander Isak, news that will be welcomed by the Magpies faithful. The full context of Newcastle's interest in Ekitike remains unclear. Some believe the club may have reignited talks merely to prompt Liverpool into action and shift their attention away from Isak. Whether that's true or not, it appears Newcastle are now looking elsewhere. Still, there's a sense that Newcastle could be preparing a surprise signing. The club is known for operating under the radar, and while a player like Anthony Elanga wouldn't shock many now, there may be another unexpected name in the pipeline. Journalists Craig Hope and Fabrizio Romano have now indicated that Newcastle are pursuing alternative attacking options. One of those may be Brentford's Yoane Wissa, who is attracting strong interest. According to recent reports from David Ornstein, the Magpies have now set their sights on the DR Congo international. BBC Sports' Sami Mokbel has added fresh detail, stating that Newcastle are preparing to accelerate talks within the next 24 hours as they look to secure Wissa's signature. Although Tottenham and Nottingham Forest were previously leading the race for the 28-year-old, Newcastle are now ramping up efforts. Since arriving from Lorient in 2021, Wissa has made a real impact at Brentford, recording 49 goals and 13 assists in 149 appearances. His combination of blistering pace, strength and clinical finishing has made him one of the Premier League's standout forwards. In fact, he was the league's top non-penalty goalscorer last season, netting 19 goals in 35 games, an impressive feat by any standard. Tottenham's new manager Thomas Frank, Wissa's former boss, once praised the forward for his ability to produce magic moments, and it's not hard to see why. With his current contract set to run until June 2026, Brentford do hold an option to extend by an additional year. However, Wissa is believed to be open to a move this summer, especially with the lure of Champions League football on offer at St James's Park. A move to Newcastle would give him the opportunity to prove himself at the highest level in Europe, a challenge he is reportedly keen on after scoring 20 goals in all competitions last season. Despite Newcastle's rapid progress, Tottenham remain firmly in the conversation. According to TalkSport, Wissa is pushing for a move away from Brentford, and a reunion with Thomas Frank at Spurs is said to be his preferred destination. That said, the entire situation could hinge on Brentford's broader transfer plans. Sky Sports report that the club will not allow both Bryan Mbeumo and Wissa to leave in the same window. And as it stands, recently after Newcastle's plan for Wissa was announced, Manchester United are stepping up their efforts to land Mbeumo. According to recent reports from David Ornstein, United have submitted a third offer worth £65 million, fixed plus £5 million in add-ons, meeting Brentford's valuation after two earlier bids were rejected. Newcastle's aggressive move for Wissa appears to have sparked action from both Liverpool and Manchester United. Their earlier pursuit of Ekitike seemingly pressured Liverpool into advancing their bid. Now, their focus on Wissa may have pushed United to pay a premium for Mbeumo. But this domino effect may come at a cost. With Brentford reluctant to lose both of their key forwards, Newcastle could find themselves edged out of a Wissa deal altogether. Despite this, the Magpies can still pull off another surprise in the market. With Brentford's demands making a deal for Wissa increasingly difficult, Newcastle are now weighing up a move for Benjamin Sesko. The 21-year-old Slovenian is seen as a top alternative after missing out on a switch to Arsenal. The Gunners have opted to pursue Victor Gyökeres from Sporting CP instead, leaving Sesko's future open. Eddie Howe is believed to be a long-term admirer of Sesko and previously instructed Newcastle's recruitment staff to track him closely. While Sesko is open to remaining at Leipzig, he is also willing to entertain offers, particularly from Champions League clubs. Both Chelsea and Newcastle are reportedly clubs the player would be happy to join. RB Leipzig had demanded a fee in the region of €90 million, approximately £78 million, when Arsenal expressed interest earlier this summer. It remains to be seen whether the Bundesliga side will maintain that valuation if formal talks begin with Newcastle. However, there's a clear reason Newcastle United would prefer Sesko as a new target. It's about long-term potential. Sesko is a physical specimen 6'4", with explosive pace that has seen him clock sprint speeds comparable to Kylian Mbappe. He's more than just tall, he dominates space, and his physical presence reminds many of a young Erling Haaland. Sesko's athleticism is no fluke. Having played basketball in his youth, clips of him at just 14 years old show outrageous leaping ability and flexibility. But Newcastle United aren't scouting an NBA forward. They're after a striker with technical ability too. Sesko idolizes Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and it shows in his style. Confident on the ball, willing to drive his team up the pitch, and able to carry possession under pressure. In the Bundesliga, Sesko averaged 1.2 successful dribbles per game, ranking in the league's top 26, with a 55% success rate. That ability to carry the ball and break lines is exactly what Newcastle United need in high-pressure games, especially in the Champions League. Beyond just being a target for long balls, he's a serious threat in transition, combining pace, power, and technical quality to beat defenders and lead counters. Despite being only 22, Sesko has been scoring goals throughout his career. It's no wonder Eddie Howe views him as his version of Erling Haaland. Both players came through RB Salzburg, and while Haaland is still the more prolific, Sesko's physical profile and elite ball striking are undeniable. Just watch his wonder goal against Sweden, a Robin van Persie-style finish with his weaker foot, and you'll see the raw talent. Comparing him to Europe's top strikers, Sesko may not yet be world-class, but he's already a very strong finisher. In fact, during the 2023-24 season, his goal conversion rate was an exceptional 31.8%, even higher than Haaland's. That's despite playing in a front two, often more as a facilitator than a pure number 9, which can also allow him to play along Isak. As it stands, negotiations are close. Reports suggest Newcastle United are not alone. Both Saudi clubs have concrete interest. But in a major boost, according to Fabrizio Romano, Benjamin Sesko's stance after new Saudi Pro League links remains the same as in June: total focus on European football. Sesko wants to play in Europe at this stage of his career, despite approaches from Saudi clubs in the last 2 months. So this will come as a major boost for Newcastle United. Still, Newcastle United will need to act fast, or risk missing out on a player who could define their future, as other clubs admire Newcastle's recruitment ID, always looking to steal their targets. Then, while the spotlight this week has been on Newcastle United's pursuit of attacking reinforcements, focus is also shifting towards bolstering the defense, particularly the search for a right-sided centre-back. According to a fresh update from Sky Sports' Keith Downie, the club has narrowed its attention to a 3-man shortlist featuring Giorgio Scalvini, Nicolo Savona, and Cesar Tarrega, as Eddie Howe looks to strengthen his backline. Downie confirms Newcastle maintain a strong interest in Atalanta's Giorgio Scalvini, an Italian international with immense potential. However, they are also exploring moves for Juventus defender Nicolo Savona and Valencia's Cesar Tarrega, both of whom offer versatility and impressive physical profiles. Savona, who's 22 years old, is a 6'4" utility defender who featured across the back line for Juventus last season, operating at right back, centre back, and even left back. Despite suffering an ankle injury during the FIFA Club World Cup, which will keep him sidelined until mid-September, he impressed under Igor Tudor, stepping up in Danilo's absence and drawing praise for his football intelligence. He made 28 appearances last term and was even linked with Manchester City, before recently renewing his contract. Meanwhile, Cesar Tarrega has emerged as an increasingly viable and perhaps more affordable option. The 23-year-old Spaniard enjoyed a breakout season at Valencia, cementing his place as a starter and making 38 appearances in 2024-25 as the La Liga side finished 12th. A 6'4" right-sided central defender, Tarrega impressed for Spain's under-21 team at this summer's UEFA Under-21 Euros, only exiting the tournament in the quarter-finals following a defeat to England and Tyno Livramento. Tarrega's strengths lie in both the air and on the ground, a physically dominant presence who's also composed in possession. Newcastle scouts were reported to be monitoring both the under-19 and under-21 Euros, and the Valencia defender fits the mold of an Eddie Howe-style recruit, young, technically sound, and full of potential. Though no official bid has been made, Spanish outlet El Desmarque reports that Tarrega is aware of Newcastle's interest. With 3 years left on his contract, he's also said to be open to extending his deal with Valencia, though discussions are scheduled after his summer break. However, transfer dynamics can shift quickly if an offer materializes, especially from a club like Newcastle, now offering Champions League football. Of the trio, Tarrega may represent the most cost-effective target, considering the financial disparity between Premier League and mid-tier La Liga clubs. While Scalvini and Savona are high-caliber options, their price tags and injury concerns, in Savona's case, could complicate negotiations. Still, the club remains interested in all three. Howe and his recruitment team are working diligently behind the scenes, ensuring that Newcastle's defense is reinforced before the season begins. Whether it's Tarrega's potential, Savona's tactical intelligence, or Scalvini's star power, Newcastle seem determined to add quality and depth at the back, and that could be just as vital as securing the right striker this summer. And then Eddie Howe has broken his silence since rejoining Newcastle United for pre-season, offering insight into what has been a challenging start to the summer at St. James's Park. Currently based in Austria as part of their training camp ahead of this weekend's friendly against Celtic, the Newcastle boss reflected on off-field turbulence, including the departure of sporting director Paul Mitchell and how it's impacted the club's progress in the transfer market. Speaking to Newcastle TV, Howe acknowledged the behind-the-scenes disruption, explaining how the exit of Mitchell left a significant void, with much of the sporting director's responsibilities falling on others. Howe was candid about Newcastle's transfer activity so far, admitting that while a huge amount of effort has gone into recruitment, it has yet to yield significant results.
And ready to start again.
How much were you able to switch off?
It was probably quite a difficult summer for that, with everything that was going on behind the scenes. So obviously losing Paul and all of the dynamics sort of changing within just the sporting director, such a pivotal role at the club. So I think there was a lot to pick up. There's been a lot of work for transfer-wise for very little incoming action, although we're delighted to get Anthony Elanga in, of course, who's done really well in the first couple of days' training, so we're delighted to get him in. But a lot more work behind the scenes for preparation for the new season.
Despite Elanga's £55 million signing from Nottingham Forest being a promising start, the club's pursuits of Liam Delap, João Pedro, and Hugo Ekitike have all ended in disappointment, with the trio moving elsewhere. As things stand, Newcastle remain in the market for at least a new striker, central defender, and goalkeeper, a tall order with just weeks remaining before the season kicks off. Howe's expression during the interview reflected some of that underlying frustration. With squad gaps still to address and pre-season well underway, the urgency to act is clear. Elanga may be the first through the door, but for Howe's ambitions to be met, especially with Champions League football on the horizon, the club's hierarchy must accelerate their business and ensure key targets are landed before it's too late.